Well, congratulations, everybody. We did it again. Customs and Border Protection reports now that 240,988 illegal immigrants at the southern border were encountered during the entire month of October. It's the highest October ever recorded. Bill Malugin at the Fox News Channel handling the news this week on this subject. The Customs and Border Protection also saying that 13 Border Patrol arrests of people on the FBI terror watch list occurred in October. 12 at the southern border, 1 at the northern border. Got to keep your head on a swivel here. In fact, this came up today in a Homeland Security Committee hearing. The audio you're about to hear involves Congressman Mark Green and FBI Director Chris Wray. Take a listen.
Those individuals, that watch list that we talk about, why do you think in 4 years before this there were only 11 and suddenly there are 294 in the past few years? Why do you think that's so?
I can't really speak to that issue. It's not in my lane. I can tell you that the threats that come from the other side of the border are very much consuming all 56 of our field offices, not just in the border states. That's why I made the point.
Sure, I agree. If I heard you correctly, what you just said is not every state in the country is a border state now. Is that what you just said?
Well, I didn't. I mean,
the threats to every
state that
state.
way, but the threats that come from the other side of the border are affecting every state.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How about that? Congressman Mark Green joins us now. He does represent Tennessee and the 7th Congressional District there. He's also the chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. Congressman, good to have you with us. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Vince, thanks for having me on.
The numbers are really jarring. You said during the entire Trump administration, only 11 people who were on the FBI terror watch list detained at our borders. We just did 13 in October. Do I have the numbers right here?
Yeah, no, that's right. It's 294 since this president came into power, and it was 11 during President Trump. And, obviously these guys feel emboldened that they can come, the border's open, and they know it, and they're coming. And fortunately, we caught the 294. How many of the known gotaways and the unknown gotaways are terrorists? We don't know, and Wray couldn't answer that question this morning.
So the FBI director, Chris Wray, of course, we heard him in that audio. He's sitting there in front of you today, and he's saying this is a huge threat. It's consuming all of our FBI field offices. Did he at any point turn to his side and look at Alejandro Mayorkas and tell him to seal the border?
No, we of course tried to get him to own that. I asked a question about, Mayorkas saying he didn't understand the drug cartel's strategy after, of course, Mr. Wray, Director Wray's boss, A.G. Garland, said he did only months before, and he didn't take the bait.
It's unbelievable. So is it possible for us to get our arms around at all what kind of threat these illegal immigrants, especially those who are on the terror watch list, pose to the United States? What are you learning, Congressman?
I think for today, one of the things that we learned, which is shocking and should really scare every American, is that Alejandro Mayorkas has got no policy to detain people when they do get caught on the terrorist watch list. So their policy isn't to detain every single person on the terrorist watch list. They have some screening mechanism they use, which we tried to get him to explain, but he couldn't. And then we know for a fact, Director Wray said, yes, we're currently pursuing people who were on the watch list. We know they crossed the southern border and they were released into the country. So what Mayorkas is doing is putting every single American at risk, and it's unconscionable.
It is unconscionable. So to go back to Chris Wray for a moment, he said that this problem of terror threats coming from our open borders is consuming all of the FBI field offices. Well, then, if that's the case, why is this not the biggest investigation in U.S. history? Because by the FBI's own assessment, the January 6th investigation is the biggest investigation in FBI history. If this is consuming all of their time right now, why aren't we looking at foreign nationals with the same intensity that we're looking at American citizens?
Yeah, we did ask that, and of course, he pivoted back to the threats that he wants to list, but he can't get away from the fact that, when he's asking another question, he says all my offices are consumed with this. Now he's got 56 counterterrorism offices across the country, and they're focused on the challenges created by the southwest border, the open border that Mayorkas has built. But the number one threat is something else that doesn't seem to, jive with logic there.
Yeah, it's costing America in a bunch of different ways, and including monetarily. Your committee put out a report this week that found that the migrant crisis has taxpayers on the hook for upwards of $500 billion. The number is $451 billion. This is a very expensive problem for us, not to mention a deadly and threatening one.
That's right. There are human costs. The deaths to fentanyl, the human trafficking, the brutally. I mean, this is just brutally tough on those Border Patrol agents. There's a human cost there. And then you look at the financial costs from uncompensated health care in the emergency department to the cost of law enforcement, local law enforcement that has to come out of state and local budgets.
Yes.
You add it all up, and estimates are between 200 and something to $451 billion.
So something you and I may have talked about this before, but something that most Americans they may know about it if they listen to the right news outlets, places like this one that tell them everything that's going on. But we don't all see the images. There are some horrifying images apparently from our southern border that include dead people dying on either side of our border, just the most gruesome possible circumstances. And I know, for instance, earlier this week, members of Congress were shown footage of what went down in Israel on October 7th, the horrific footage there. Many of them very affected by it. They saw it and they were leaving in tears. Some of them couldn't stay for all of the video footage. Do you think it'd be possible to maybe showcase some of what's happening here in our own country for members of Congress to get some bipartisan agreement on fixing this?
It's not a bad idea. Some of the video that I've seen is, of dismembered bodies being thrown on a campfire that were all done by the drug cartels. I mean, it's just horrific. And so, that's not a bad idea. When we try to show things in committee, they always try to, gavel it down as failing to meet decorum. I know I showed an image of a woman who had been brutally raped, stripped naked, dropped at an elementary school in Texas, a migrant, and was left naked. We showed the picture, of course, covering her face. She'd also been scalped, by the way.
Oh my God!
And we showed that picture, and of course the Democrats protested because it showed her exposed backside. But that's a great idea. We should try to do that. So thanks.
Well, look, I just want to see some intensity on this issue. I know you do too, because it's important, and our country very much collapsing as a result of all of this. I want to play. Let me play some more audio from you today. This is further questioning Congressman Mark Green challenging Chris Wray on more information here.
Can the FBI guarantee the American people that known or suspected terrorists, including any from Hamas or other terror groups, are not amongst those gotaways?
Well, certainly the group of people that you're talking about are a source of great concern for us. That's why we're aggressively using all 56 of our joint terrorism task forces.
But there's really no way for you to guarantee that Hamas isn't in those.
Well, as you say, there's the unknown unknown and the known unknown.
Right.
But what I can tell you is that our 56 joint terrorism task forces are working their tails off to make sure that they suss out and identify potential terrorist suspects, whether they're on the watch list or not.
On the issue of Islamist terror, in particular Hamas, sir, Congressman Mark Green is who we're speaking with. To what extent are you concerned about that playing out here in the United States? And did Wray convey with any specificity that he's concerned about Hamas threats?
Well, he clearly said that the heightened threats from the Middle East, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, of course, Hamas, they've all made, basically calls to harm Americans, really globally, but, also in the United States. They say there is no specific evidence of people who are attempting right now to come and do that. However, there is clearly an increased risk because we're helping their second greatest enemy. We're the big Satan. Israel's the little Satan. and we're sitting here providing military assistance to them in the war against Hamas, which generates their threats against us. So clearly there's huge risk there. And with the open border, with these gotaways in the country, with known or suspected terrorists inside the country being hunted by the FBI, I can't think of a greater risk to the country in the last, 20 years.
It's unbelievable. And the FBI, is always tracking some low-level threats, I would imagine, at any given moment. For the FBI director to come out and say that this is of immense concern to him right now suggests that there must be a lot of action going on behind the scenes.
There certainly is the threats that have been made in sort of the general call. And you never know with a terrorist cell if that isn't some hidden message, right?
Right.
So they're out there looking, working very hard to identify any known threats. And as he said, you have the unknown unknowns and the known unknowns. And they're working through all of that to try to make sure they protect Americans. But they've got a tough job because of the failure of Mayorkas at the border.
Finally,
and it's not accidental on Mayorkas' part, right? It's his policies that have been implemented, decisions that he's made.
No question. What is it like these days to have Alejandro Mayorkas in front of these committees? If I were you, I'd be done asking questions. I'd just be yelling at him the whole time and say, you should not be in that job. What did he provide any answers whatsoever?
No. He is the most, I'm trying to think of a kind way to say this. He is just a very savvy person. He was a prosecuting attorney in Los Angeles. He knows how to ask these questions or answer these questions. And I've never had anyone, obfuscate better than Alejandro Mayorkas.
Yes, and there was an effort this week to try and get him impeached. 8 Republicans voted against it. You think that was a bad idea? They should have voted to impeach this guy.
Yeah, I voted to impeach him. And we're going to continue our work. It doesn't change what we're doing. We're doing a five-phased investigation. We're going to keep that up. I think it should conclude sometime in December. We'll make a referral to the Judiciary Committee either in late December or the 1st of January, and we're going to be recommending that he be impeached.
All right. Congressman Mark Green, again, chairman of the Homeland Security Committee. Really good to talk to you, sir. Thank you for that today, and thank you for questioning these guys. We appreciate it.